Sam Tenpenny with Tri-State Livestock News, the Fence Post, and Farmer and Rancher Exchange, bringing you today's daily headlines concerning fair cattle markets. According to Drovers, an updated consumer price index released from USDA Economic Research Service shows wholesale beef prices climbed 14.2% from July to August of this year, and that price projections point to a possible 20% increase in wholesale beef for the year. The price projections released are for a wide variety of grocery store items, and according to Farm Journal Washington correspondent Jim Weissmeyer, meat prices are expected to see the largest of those increases. The updated ERS forecast shows prices for meats, poultry, and fish now set at 4.5 to 5.5%, up from 4 to 5% posted last month, with higher pork prices and what is now expected to be 6.5 to 7.5% higher beef prices compared to an increase of 4.5 to 6% last month, driving the upsurge. Compared to the same period in 2020, Wiesmeyer points out that beef and veal prices went up 6.5%, with prices in September up 17.6% from a year ago. Jason Lusk, an agricultural economist with Purdue University, looked to the strong domestic and international demand for U.S. meat products, labor shortages, supply chain disruptions, and increased input costs as factors for the rise in recent meat prices. The ERS report reiterated that there are a plethora of factors driving the increase in meat prices and not just consolidation in the industry, pointing out that the level of consolidation has not changed remotely compared to the upward swings in meat prices. The ERS report follows recent claims from the Biden administration, with USDA Secretary Tom Vilsack blaming consolidation for the run-up in meat prices at the retail level during a press conference at the White House in September. During the U.S. Farm Report College Roadshow last week, Lusk told U.S. Farm Report that he also didn't see consolidation being a major factor in the rise of retail meat prices, but that it is certainly the case that meat is a big driver of the overall price inflation that we're currently seeing. Lusk says that even with protein prices racing higher at the grocery store, that he doesn't expect them to scare away the record domestic demand that the U.S. is seeing this year. According to Tri-State Livestock News, the North Dakota Ag and Natural Resources Interim Committee hosted a hearing on October 7th to discuss the makeup and operations of the North Dakota Beef Commission after being assigned to determine whether or not changes to the makeup of the board or its management of state and federal checkoff dollars needed updating. NDBC Executive Director Nancy Bateman reported that the commission had fielded refund requests from 504 producers in 2019, 574 producers in fiscal year 2020, and that over 14% of state checkoff dollars had been refunded in the current fiscal year. Bateman said she does not know how much of the state checkoff budget and how much of the federal checkoff budget is given to the NCBA Federation of State Beef Councils, stating that the Beef Commission sends set percentages and that they go in as a part of the bigger picture. She said that although the check is written to the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, that a firewall prevents the organization use checkoff dollars to conduct lobbying activity, which the producers that wrote the checkoff law specifically forbid checkoff dollars to be used for. Independent Beef Association President Carrie Doctor said in 2015, when the bill was introduced, IBA North Dakota requested that the North Dakota State Beef Checkoff be approved by a majority of the producers and that producers be allowed to periodically vote on state checkoff. He said one of his group's main concerns is the fact that producers who request their state checkoff refund are ineligible to serve on the North Dakota Beef Council, and that even those who request their state checkoff dollars to be refunded must continue to contribute to the NDBC budget through mandatory federal checkoff, of which NDBC keeps half. IBA-ND suggested the North Dakota Ag Commissioner, rather than the governor, appoint NDBC members in the future, and that all nominations become at large, with no political organizations being guaranteed seats, whereas currently the North Dakota Stockmen's Association is guaranteed 4 of those 9 seats between 3 producers and 1 feeder. After Doctor's testimony and significant discussion about the possibility of an election process, a representative from the North Dakota Farmers Union said her group supports an election process, while Jeff Schaefer, president of the North Dakota Stockmen's Association, said he didn't know enough about how the process would work in order to grant support or not. Doctor said his group would be open to considering that idea. A group of 10 executives and employees of top U.S. poultry companies, including 2 former chief executives, are facing criminal antitrust charges, prison, and $1 million fines if convicted of price fixing and rigging bids in a trial that's getting underway this week in Denver. According to Bloomberg, the trial, the first to result from a years-long investigation in the $95 billion U.S. chicken market, spotlights affiliates of Pilgrim's Pride Corporation and Purdue Farms LLC, among other companies who combined supply about a third of the chicken that Americans eat. The move comes as the meat industry has been thrust into the spotlight amid soaring prices and after a wave of COVID-19 outbreaks at packing plants. While the U.S. has imposed hefty fines on numerous companies over the last 20 years, the chicken trial is unusual because it's individuals facing the jury. U.S. District Judge Philip Brimmer told selected jurors on Monday that the case may run until December 21st, not counting deliberations, and that the jury will be asked to decide whether or not the executives agreed to coordinating pricing and bids in order to limit competition. In a court filing last week, the defendant said that their price discussions weren't illegal and that the government can't prove whether or not they agreed to participate in a single overarching conspiracy. The filing described the charges as a muddle of different sporadic communications over many years involving different people, different products, different customers, and different price outcomes. Former Pilgrim's Pride CEOs Jason Penn and William Lovett faced charges for conspiring with other industry employees and officials to fix prices and rig bidding from 2012 to early 2019 after the Greeley, Colorado-based unit of Brazilian food giant JBS South America pleaded guilty to price-fixing conspiracy in February and sentenced to pay $108 million in fines. In addition to Penn and Lovett, prosecutors charged 8 other executives and industry workers. All defendants face charges of conspiring to restrain trade, while Jimmy Lee Little, a former Pilgrim's Pride sales director, is also being charged with obstruction of justice for allegedly lying to a federal agent, a charge with a top penalty of 20 years in prison if convicted. Antitrust lawyer and professor John Francis said, while the details can be complicated, the law on price fixing is pretty simple. Did you agree or did you not agree on a price? Court papers name industry employees who haven't yet been charged, raising the possibility that additional companies and individuals could face prosecution in this case. Until next time, I'm Sam Tenpenny, and this is your Fair Cattle Market Update.